What is up, guys? This is Harv with Harv's Corner. This 101 series, we're going to start off with some Genesis goodness. Really, we're just going to cover the basics. It's going to be pretty cut and dry. I'm here with a cool little drone that is following me around. If you are new to Genesis, or if you have been playing it for a little while, you know exactly what this little dude is. But if you're not and you're new, this is what you want to tune into, and that's what this video is going to be about. It's going to be a fairly short video, really describing exactly how this little guy following me around goes. It goes by HLNA. Basically, Helena's consciousness inside of a little robot that you can talk to and interact with, and it follows you around everywhere on the Genesis map. This little robot actually does quite a lot. It'll talk to you sporadically when you're flying around or roaming around on the mission areas, things like that, but primarily you're going to use it to teleport between different biomes, because this map is essentially mini biomes all in their own little area that you have to teleport back and forth to, and also to exchange hexagons for the in-game currency. When you hover over this and you hold in E, Y, triangle, whatever, to get to their options on here, you have a couple of options. You can exchange hexagons, which I don't have any yet, and we'll explain how that works. Biome teleportation is one that we're going to look at right now, where you get the option to teleport between any of the 5 biomes that are on the Genesis map. Now, if you're new, if you're starting out, the bog is technically an easy start, but to be honest with you, the bog can be a little bit difficult depending on where you spawn in and your familiarity with the Ark universe already. But anyway, at either rate, it doesn't matter. Any of these that you pick from, you're going to get just a general area of where to spawn at and when you're inside of here. Now, what I have noticed, and I don't know if this is going to be addressed later on, is a lot of these are redundant. For instance, in this bog biome, if I go back and select the bog, if I, for instance, if I teleport either in the southeast or the east, it actually puts me at the same spot. So sometimes they're not actually different spots, even though it's kind of listed as, kind of like they should be. Also bear in mind that when it does teleport you to a location, you're always going to be at that location. So let's say we go to east, we hit that, and this little bubble is going to start around me. Now, if I was bringing dinosaurs with me, the dinosaurs could be in this little bubble. Anything in this bubble, me or my tames, are what's going to jump over to that other spawn. And it kind of loads sort of like a boss fight. It's just a smaller circle. It'll get all the way up and then beam us over. Y'all will be able to see what I'm talking about here. Come on. Come on. Let's go. There we go. And it'll give you this little mini loading screen, and then poof, it'll show you up here. And here we are. So it'll spawn you in the different areas, and that's pretty cut and dry about how that works. So that's how the teleportation works. Now, the thing to remember is that if I ever select, and I selected the east teleport, right? Bog, and I went to the east. Anytime from any other biome, anywhere on the map that I talk to the Helena robot and teleport to the east spawn of the bog biome, I'm going to end up right here every single time. So that's static. It's actually kind of nice to think about where you're building bases at, so you have easy transportation back, so you can beam right in, maybe build a base a little bit out of here, just out of render, so that it's not like super heavy on when you're trying to load in. It makes it super easy to get right back to your base too, depending on what kind of tames you have or what kind of resources you might try to be hauled back. So that's one use, right? That's one of the uses so far. So arrival protocol is actually what you use to do like the boss fight, and this is dependent on missions that you've completed, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So to go over that real quick, you'll see for the gamma, I need to complete at least 58 missions. For beta, 116, and for alpha, I need to complete 168 missions. Specifically going to go over everything that's in the Helena thing right now. So the HLNA settings, you can tell it to show the arena boundaries. You can actually set it to do like a more of a compact mode, so that it actually just kind of goes away. And then you can bring up your normal radio menu like you would use to whistle commands or to, do any of your emotes. And the show HLNA is actually toggled right in there, and they pop right back in. So if you don't like the fact that it's hovering around, following you around, you can always turn it off, and it's still there. It still works for you. Hexagons and Missions. This is a 2-part thing. So in your menu, you will see all this random stuff that I have, but also you'll have an additional 2 little sections up here that are a little bit more outside of what you would normally see. This is your Hexagon Count right here. So you have your Hexagon listed. Again, I have 0 in here, but we're going to show you how to get some. And then you also have your mission list. Now, mission lists are one of the ways to get hexagons, and probably the most profitable way. Each biome has its own list of missions that pertain to it. So you want to make sure you're in the biome that you're actually looking for, but you can also toggle an all mission that'll show you everything. But for right now, we're just going to pick the bog biome. Now, A lot of these missions can be a little difficult either by yourself or if you're just starting out. So if you're brand new and you're starting out and you're just trying to get hexagons, what I would suggest is that you stick to missions that involve like racing or fishing. Those two are actually pretty good because they don't require you to have a lot. And if it's a race, we can do a demonstration of a race so you can see what I'm talking about. But like a race, they actually supply the animal for you and you race from point A to point B. So you don't need another team. You just really just need to get there and start the race. And with fishing, more times than not, it's easier because a simple fishing rod or a simple fishing net are really your only requirements for fishing. Other than that, you just catch fish. So it makes it easier early on to gain hexagons to trade in for certain things, and we're going to talk about that too. But you can actually see that there's a gamma, beta, and alpha for each one of these, and the rewards are higher in stack. Now, not only will you get these hexagon rewards, you'll also get item rewards as well. For instance, and what we're going to do, because we're in the bog biome, this is another one that's super easy. We're going to take this all the way down to the bottom. You can play dodo ball, which is essentially basketball with dodos, but you can do like group games that you can actually pick teams and play against each other. If you're in the same, you have to be in the same tribe, but you can actually tribe up and play against each other. But being that I'm right here, we're just going to do the dodo shot clock, and all these 6 are actually a pretty good way to get a lot of a fair amount of hexagons right off the bat. But so we select one of these and then we hit track mission, and as soon as we exit out of here, it tells us on our map where it's at, and it's 3,000 meters that way. So I got a bit of a run. I'll be right back. All right, here we are, and this is actually a really easy one to spot because of the giant basketball court that's out here in the bog. Again, when you're working on some of these missions, you might have wild creatures coming after you, so pay attention to that. If you're uber high and very well settled as far as the level and technology goes, you could always, take maybe a generator with a turret and kind of set it up just to kind of watch your back while you're doing this. Or if you have other buddies to bring or other teams to sit here and guard you as well, that's an option. But all your mission terminals are going to look just like this. Every single one of them, they're all going to look like this. So this is how you know that you're at the mission. And again, I have that little mini map thing showing me, and you can also go into the missions and untrack this as well, and that way it won't show up here. But this one is pretty simple, and you can do the pickup game or the shot clock thing here real quick, and we'll start a mission up. For this one, you literally just pick up dodos and try to throw them in this net. You can see how horrible I am at this. It's not, once you get a groove of like the angle, it's actually super easy, but getting to that point, I gotta toggle this back to, oh, okay, there we go. I gotta toggle this back. No, come on, come back here. It's actually an option that I hit by accident. HLNA can actually scan creatures and give you all the current stats that are on it as well. All right, so we're just gonna try to knock this out real quick. And again, you can see I'm kind of getting a feel for it, but now that I said that, I'm gonna mess this one up. Yep, yeah, see, yeah. All right, so once I beat the clock, it gave me that. But if you don't see, it actually gave me some actual items, and not only that, but some hexagons as well. So I got some items down here, and it actually gave me a saddle actually for the Megashalon, which is the giant sea turtle, and you get a couple of like consumables as well. The thing to pay attention to is sometimes you'll get, I don't think this was from this, I think this was from something else, but sometimes you'll get an item with this over top of it. And what that means is that you're not going to get any resources out of it if you get rid of it or try to grind it down. Like I can't put these, if this saddle had one of these lines in it, I wouldn't be able to like put it in a grinder and grind it down. Like you can't get rid of it. You can drop it on the ground or just get rid of it that way, but that's pretty much your only option. You're not getting any resources out of it. But yeah, so that's pretty simple. You complete the mission and you get that. So early on, this is probably one of the places you want to hit up for easy access to hexagons. So missions are one way to do this. The other way to do this, and I'm looking around for one, I think there was one, aha, there it is over here. So periodically you'll be floating around the map and you will see these guys and they're glitches. And again, I'm using the Xbox controller, but you'd hold in E, hold in triangle, hold in Y, and it'll scan it and pick it up, and it'll give you 1,000 hexagons every time you pick one of these up, and there'll be a dialogue from HLNA talking about this stuff. She'll go over her little dialogue for each one of these. Now most of them are just small talk like this. I'm not to give anything away, but there are ones that are more main storyline concerned, and you'll know when you find them exactly which ones they are. I'm not going to give anything away, but Anyway, that's how the missions work. That's how you're really going to get hexagons, is by missions and finding glitches very quickly. And this was one of, like I said, I wanted to talk about this one because if you're brand new coming into the map, this is probably the one you want to hit up very quickly. And especially if you got other people playing with you to do like just the dodo ball thing, because you both can get, your tribe, anybody can just get hexagons very quickly. Once you have hexagons, you can actually go back and we can talk to, come here, you can talk to Helena and exchange the hexagons. There's a full list of what you can buy that's in here. You can buy certain resources, and you can also buy these loot crates. You got a basically a low level, a mid level, and a high level one. These loot crates will give you advanced items, and believe it or not, a tech replicator could potentially be in here along with a long list of other things of armor, weapons, saddles, all sorts of stuff. Even element can be in here sometimes too. Keep a note, you can buy element here, buy cryopods. Flowers and mushrooms, or flowers are kind of important early on if you're getting beehives, and anything else really. The nice thing, and what I can advise people to do, is sometimes at least I think anyway, the Arctic biome can be a little bit more forgiving for new players depending on where you're at in the Arctic biome, but you need fur armor to get there. There's no real pelt to be had in the bog biome to make that armor to get over there, but you can always use that to buy some pelt, just enough to get you some armor to go over there and not get killed too badly, at least long enough to get a base situated, and then after that you're fine. But I noticed for me, they said the bog was easy. It's not necessarily easy. I think there's other biomes that are a little bit easier, but that's just my preference. Anywho, that's really how the missions work, and how the Helena works as well. Specifically, that's what I wanted to talk about. And we can actually, well, we can do one. We can find one of those races real quick to show you how that works. Race along bog pools, poisonous gas, stuck in mud, blah blah blah. And you just really have to read them. They don't necessarily say they're a race, but you just have to read the description, and usually it says race in here somewhere, or ride a certain animal somewhere, and that's how you know there's a race. I think there's 2 on each biome usually, but there's also other missions in here too. Cheaper by the pack. Whenever it says you're searching for a certain animal, you're going to start the mission off at a location, and you're actually going to follow footprints until you find the animal and then kill them off, and then you might have to, it might break off, and then you might have to track it. So it's kind of just a track and kill. Same thing with this. And then you have some couple of these that are kind of like errands. You basically just kind of follow Helena around and go where she tells you to go. It's kind of just a little checkpoint, and you can actually take whatever animal you would normally have riding with you. So if you're out here and have a gator or a spino or something, you can take it with you and do the mission that way too. And again, there's gamma, beta, alpha, so the enemies get harder. So on the gamma, you actually end up dealing more damage, and your opponents are a lot easier to kill. On the other way around, once you get higher up, it gets more realistic. And a lot of these, King of Swing is actually a race. You get the Bloodstalker and you get to race it around. And again, they provide you with these animals. But bog fishing is another good one to start off with, mainly because it's just fishing, and fishing is fairly easy and an easy way to get those points. You have escort missions as well, and then you'll notice it'll always say escorts. You have to escort an animal from point A to point B, make sure nothing happens to them, and you're going to fight off anything that tries to kill them at the same time. Some of these beatdowns are swarms, so you'll actually be spawned in and have to deal against wave of enemies. Now, while I'm going through all these missions, it'll give you the distance away that you are, but it'll also tell you how many people can come in here with you. You can have up to 10 people going into the bog beatdown. If you're tracking a spino, you can have 1 to 10. Most of them are 1 to 10. You'll see some 1 to 5s, 1 to 8s, and then you'll also see just some straight 1s. And then at the bottom, it'll also tell you the glitches. And this is the same sort of process regardless of which biome you're in. You really just want to pay attention to what it's asking you to do. Where was Bog Rally at? Let's do that one. Let's track Bog Rally. Where's Bog Rally at? Bog Rally's pretty close. All right, we're gonna go that way. All right, so we're at Bog Rally. The icons will give these away too. If it's checkered flag, buy it, you know it's a race. And we'll start the gamma one off. It's going to load us in just like it normally would. Now, if this wasn't a race, anything inside of here is what's coming with me. But because it's a race, it's just going to take me with it. It's going to mount me up on this. It looks like a Capra. Yep, I'm mounted on a Capra.
Off we go.
And we're going to start. There we go. So these are checkpoint missions. You would just want to run through the blue hexagons, and then when you run through, oh god, when you run through the orange circles, it hits you, it like turbo boosts you. So it's definitely key to pay attention where you're going. You'll have a time limit. You'll only be allotted a certain amount of time to get through these. And obviously, the higher up the difficulty you go, the less time you're going to have to do these. These are nice because, again, they supply you with the animal, so you're not worried about that. And as long as where you start is fairly safe, like if you've cleared where you start the race out fairly well, you run no risk of dying, because so if I fail the time limit right now, it's going to beam me back to where we started the race at. And if I complete the race, it's still going to beam me back to where the race started at. So as long as where you start the race off is relatively safe, or you've safeguarded that part of things, you're usually pretty good. I don't even know if we're really gonna make the time on this. How much time do we have? Okay, we got time. But oh god, this can be tricky because the wild creatures will be in your way all the time, and don't be surprised if you have to do these once or twice or can't run at all. I'm not doing very well. I'm not very good at these. Really? Excuse me. Definitely requires you to memorize the track. If I would advise, if you're doing this, always start off with the gamma one and definitely start memorizing the track, because it's going to be the same track, at least so far with any of the races I've done. The higher the difficulty goes, it's the same track over and over again. It's just you have less and less time to actually complete it. So you just have to be more precise, which is easy because, well, easier because it comes with practice. You know where the course is at. Now you can come back and do the same mission again, but you won't get nearly as many points for hexagons for doing it. So the game definitely rewards you trying newer missions or harder missions versus doing the same mission over and over again. You're not going to get very much out of it by repeating the same mission over and over again. As much as I would love to just sit there and play dodo basketball from now till whenever, I can't do that. It's not very feasible. And the finish line's here. It'll do hey, little fireworks and everything, but then it'll teleport me back to where we started at. Right here. So we're right back to where we started at. Alright guys, but anyway, that's really the basics of the HLNA little guide, the robot that follows you around in Genesis. These missions are kind of the same across all the biomes. They're just themed more for that place, right? You're going to be racing different animals, tracking down different animals, exploring different locations. But again, I picked the bog because this is technically the easy spawn and where most people would start the game off at. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell about how the HLNA works, how the missions work, how the hexagons work, how all that currency stuff works. And that's pretty much it for today. So this is ARC 101 for today. Hopefully Friday we're going to drop a taming video down. I'm working on that actually as kind of right after this. I'm working on both of them at the same time a little bit. So we'll have another ARC taming video coming out on Friday with another speed build coming out this weekend. But really I just wanted to push the 101 series more into the Genesis with it just dropping and a lot of new stuff being introduced. We wanted to kind of go over a little bit of everything. But again, please like, please subscribe, please comment, let me know what you guys think. If there's something specific that you're having maybe some problems with or trying to figure out with Genesis in general, please let me know. We're going to be rolling out weekly 101 videos on the Genesis basics. We're going to start with, general overviews of the biomes, where resources are at, the unique creatures to the Genesis part 1. But that's all guys, that's all I got. Thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out, and until next time.